Hey, everybody. Thursday night, February 27th, the Montreal Canadiens get out of murky waters with a 4-3 overtime win over the San Jose Sharks. The first time they've beaten the Sharks in 9 opportunities at the Bell Center, so that's great, but it wasn't really the greatest game for the Montreal Canadiens. Time to drop the puck on another episode of Montreal Hockey Talk. Hey everybody, Kosta here with another episode of Montreal Hockey Talk for this Thursday, February 27th. Glad you tuned in. Quick shout out to Eric, who wants me to put the podcast back up on iTunes. Thank you very much for your feedback, Eric. I really appreciate it. And for all of you that interact on, whether it's on social media with Blue Sky or whether it's in the comments, love you all. Keep it coming. Now, let's get straight to it. I don't know about you, but I wasn't really happy with this hockey game tonight. It was dull. And the scoring chances were few and far between. And the fact that I think the first goal looked so bad on Samuel Montembeault. I mean, if you guys follow JD LaGrange on Blue Sky and myself, both of us are of the mind that like Montembeault is just not playing very well. And now, granted, he got a shutout against the Carolina Hurricanes the other night, but it wasn't as if the Carolina Hurricanes were world beaters either. I mean, they're not the most gifted offensive team, and they made Montembeault look relatively good on Tuesday night. And then come to Thursday, and it's Monty's third straight game coming back from the Four Nations Cup, and I'm wondering why the hell they don't play Jacob Dobeš. I just don't get it, but I digress, right? The first goal looked really, really bad. Canadians come back. They score. Nick Suzuki, 1 of 2 on the night for him. And so it's 1-1. And then you get Nico Sturm, who scores another really ugly goal on Sam Montembeault. And then Suzuki comes back on a feed from Lane Hudson, makes it 2-2. Then you come to the second period, and Will Smith scores. And we're all sitting there thinking, what the hell is wrong with Sam Montembeault? But then again, you look down the ice at his counterpart, Alexander Georgiev, and he didn't look very good either. So, you know, both teams weren't getting stellar goaltending. So at the end of the day, it looked like it was going to be a lucky bounce that was going to win this hockey game. And a lucky bounce is exactly what the Canadiens got in the third period when Alex Newhook got a feed from Patrick Laine, who whiffed on a pass that he got from Owen Beck from behind the net. And now Beck made that play happen. Takes a big hit in below the goal line, gets the puck to Laine. Laine, again, whiffs on his shot. It goes off the end of his stick right to Newhook, who has an open net to shoot and score on a backhand, putting it past Georgiev. And you know what? At that point, it was 3-3. Everybody was, oh, yeah, the Canadiens tied it for the third straight time in the hockey game. But I don't know about you, but I never really got the impression that the Canadiens were really going to try to take control. And the 2 power plays that they had late in the third period were a testament to that fact, because it was really tentative on the Canadiens' part. Sure, they caught a couple of good looks, but overall, you look at the power play, I think Patrick Laine is a little bit too wide on the left side of the power play formation. He should be inside the dot to get a better angle. That's me. But, he got a shot from that spot that he calls his office, and, Georgiev made the save. A couple of other shots came in, and Georgiev made some stops, so, you got to credit him for that. But lo and behold, the Canadiens did not look like they were going to win this hockey game late, and it looked like the Sharks were pushing hard, a lot harder than the Canadiens were. And as we're talking about that, I didn't really put it in my show notes, but I got to bring something up. And this is something that I've been talking about for a while now, especially on social media. And I've brought it up a couple of times on the show, and that's David Savard's stupid effing flip pass, the lob out of the zone. I mean, he's deep in his zone. He's in his own corner, below the goal line. How is it that you ice the puck from there without moving your feet? Why do you have to lob it out? Why can't you make an effort to skate it up the boards? Why can't you put it off the glass? What's with the freaking lob? But no, it's become his go-to play when he's stuck in the zone and he can't clear it, or when he's tired. Let me flip it up in the air and let's see where it bounces. Let me just give the puck back to the other team and let them come right back down our throats. It's just time and time again, it's the same thing over and over again with David Savard. And I'm sitting there going, no wonder no team wants him. You look at that type of play, and now granted, David Savard has done yeoman's work for the Canadiens. As a veteran, he's led a young core, along with Mike Matheson, and they've gotten them to a certain point where I think now it's time to get rid of Savard. Personally, I thought the mistake that was made earlier was getting rid of Jonathan Kovacevic and keeping Savard because Savard had more value. And Kovacevic was younger and played a similar style of game. Maybe he wasn't as physical as Savard, but was still smart in his own zone and brought a little bit more offense than Savard did because he was younger. And you look at what he's been doing with the Devils, and it's kind of the type of game that the Canadians like. We're not getting that from Savard. In fact, Matheson has been really bad of late. We're giving away the puck and creating opportunities for the opposing team. But it is what it is, right? We can't really complain about it. But at the end of the day, you look at it, Cole Caulfield in overtime, roofing it, making a move to get around Celebrini, and then roofing it over the shoulder of Georgiev to give the Canadiens a 4-3 win, and everybody's happy. But did the Canadiens really deserve to win this hockey game is the question. Think about it. I know we're fans, but if you were the Montreal Canadiens, would you be happy with this victory? For the 2 points? Yes. For the way your team played? Not really. And, I'm not watching the post-game press conference because Marty St. Louis is on as I'm recording this, but really? If Marty's happy, and I've met Marty and we've talked hockey before, if Marty's happy with this game and the way they played, I'm sorry. I got to give him a call and straighten him out because, oh my God, you can't be happy about this hockey game. You're playing against the worst team in the National Hockey League, and you had to come back 3 times. And it wasn't just because of your goaltending. It was because your team just wasn't playing well in their own zone. Call it what it is. Up until about the 15-minute mark of the second period, you had 4 shots. 4, count it, against the worst team in the National Hockey League. You're going to be happy with this win? I don't know. I wouldn't be. But they come away with it anyway, 4-3, and everybody's going home, happy campers. That's great. And I'm sitting here in my studio talking to you, and I'm not happy about the win. I'm not happy about the goaltending. And if anything, right, I think Dobesh deserves to get the start on Saturday. 3 straight games for Montembeault. He deserves a break, and Dobesh needs to see the net. It's been 3 weeks since he's played. It's about time you put that young kid back in because you know what? He's starting to grow cobwebs. Anyway, let's move on to the next subject, and that is, in fact, our goaltending. Georgiev and Montembeault. And the play of both those guys is an indictment of current Habs goaltending coach Eric Raymond. And why is that? Because Georgiev was one of his goaltenders with the New York Rangers, along with Igor Shesterkin. It was both of them. The Rangers decided to keep Shesterkin because he was the more talented of the 2 goaltenders, but you take a look at both Georgiev and Montembeault. Both of them have trouble in their crease. Their footwork is not great. They give up bad rebounds. I mean, you saw on the second Suzuki goal, Georgiev literally fell over himself. He couldn't keep his balance. He lost his balance, and for a minute, everybody thought that Cole Caulfield interfered with it. But after looking at a quick replay, nope, that wasn't the case. Georgiev just tripped on his own feet. And let me tell you something about goaltenders. There's one thing that they work on all the time, and that's their footwork, right? Whether it was Carey Price, whether it was Patrick Waugh, whether it was Marty Brodeur, you're always working on your footwork because after all, and I said this as much on Blue Sky, that your footwork, your balance, and your positioning are the 3 mitigating factors in how many rebounds you give out and how often you give them out, right? Because if you're a well-balanced goaltender who's on the tip of his toes and ready to move side to side and you're facing the shot square to the shooter, more often than not, you're in good position, you'll go down, and you'll be able to control your rebounds with effectiveness. Montembeault does not do that. Georgiev does not do that. And why? Because they're never really settled in their crease. They're never really comfortable. You take a look at Montembeault, for example, and I look at him nonstop when he's moving around his crease. He's standing up straight. He's got his stick off the ice. And even when he goes down into his crouch, unless he's in the butterfly, his stick is 2 inches off the ice. That's not what you're supposed to be doing as a goaltender. And a simple way to fix that, you get a longer pallet on your stick. You know how a goal stick has that big, thick, ugly piece of wood at the bottom, right? And the goalie's blocker goes and wedges itself right on the top so he can control that stick very well. Well, if you get that a little bit longer, what happens is you don't have to bend down as far to make contact with the ice with your stick. So if he's standing up at one point to try to see over a screen and then he decides to go down in his crouch, well, he doesn't have to go that far to make sure his stick contacts the ice. And if a quick shot comes in 5-hole, he's going to be able to make an easy stick save. But why he uses a shorter pallet on his goal stick, I'll never know. But it's something as a coach that I would tell him, listen, you either put your stick, you get in a crouch, you put your stick on the ice, or you get that longer pallet so you can make sure that stick is down when you go into your crouch. It's a simple way to fix a problem, but it's not done. Why? Again, I digress. It's Eric Raymond. It's another reason why I do not like him as the Canadiens goaltending coach. Time and time again, I've said it. You take a look at his body of work and the goaltenders that have come through Montreal, whether it's Jake Allen, whether it's Sam Montembeault, whether it's Caden Primo, who's doing very well in Laval right now, but when he was with Montreal, looked like crap in nets. Why is that? Oh, let me think. One constant through all those guys, and that's the fact that Eric Raymond is a goaltending coach. You take a look at Georgiev, is another reason why he's not playing well, is because he wasn't taught his footwork well by Eric Raymond. And granted, I've never been there to watch Eric Raymond work with his goaltenders, but to me, it's obvious. As a former goalie myself, I can tell you that their footwork is bad. So what do I want? I want the Canadiens to take a good, hard look at Eric Raymond's body of work and say to themselves, listen, if we're going to get better in goal, we need to make sure we get rid of Eric Raymond. And another thing about our goaltending, what is it with everybody throwing flowers at Sam Montembeault all the freaking time? He's not that good. He's hovering around 900 for a save percentage. And what I don't understand is that Montreal was blessed for the better part of almost 20 years by having Carey Price between the pipes. A guy who had a career, I think it was a 920 save percentage. And then you take a look at Sam Montembeault, and he can barely crack 900. And you're happy? And you're saying, wow, he made some big saves? Where did you see those big saves tonight? And I heard that as I was coming down to the studio out of the mouth of Benoit Brunet, who I think is the worst analyst in hockey. Why would you say something like that? When did he make a big save? Seriously. He didn't make it when Zetterlund scored because he looked like a freaking idiot when he went, when I think it was Smith went in behind the net, excuse me, and then he followed him and never realized the puck went the other way. He looked dumb there. And then in the second goal, was another one of those quick snapshots that got right by him, and, he should have stopped. Very simple. And then Will Smith's goal's another one. Square to the shooter, not out far enough. So Smith has a lot of net to shoot at, and he puts it right past the glove and into the net. It's always the same thing with Montembeault and the type of goals he gives up. So how about you sit down and you say to yourself, Mr. Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon, maybe Eric Raymond, who was our guy with the Rangers, isn't our guy here. We need somebody with a little bit more knowledge of the goaltending position because Raymond's not cutting the mustard. And our goaltending right now is really what is our biggest weakness. You take a look at the team. The offense is playing well. They're scoring 3 to 4 goals a game, which is good for the Montreal Canadiens right now. The defense is playing well because we're not giving up too many quality scoring opportunities, but the ones we're giving up, which the goaltenders should be able to stop because they're simple, they're going in. And that's a problem. It's when the hard shots go in, you say to yourself, okay, there's nothing we can do. But when the easy ones go in, it's time to take a look at the recipe and fix that. And right now, the Canadiens haven't done that. Now, I want to really take a look and talk about Josh Anderson. We all know all season long he's been taking therapy days and he's been taking time off and whatever. But after the season that this guy had last year, okay, and coming into the season, no real expectations for the Canadiens. He's playing on the third line. Whether he gets 10, 15 goals, nobody really cared because he was really doing a good job playing of a defensive role, killing penalties, and doing things like that. Not only that, but he was throwing the body around and he was playing hurt while he was doing it. We saw the other night against Carolina. He went hard to get a scoring chance. He hit the boards hard, had to leave the game. Everybody was worried, is he coming back? Comes back tonight. Again, falls awkwardly during the second period. It's not like anybody hit him, but it just looked, to me, it looked like a groin. But Anderson came back out for the third period, and there he is. And so I coined the phrase that he is the Rocky Balboa of the Montreal Canadiens, because for the beating that this man has taken, he keeps coming back for more without missing a beat. You know, he drew a penalty in the third period. Like, really, what more is there to say about Josh Anderson? Nothing. And, you know, you can say what you will about the salary. That's not on Kent Hughes. That's a Marc Bergevin thing. But at the end of the day, you take a look at Josh Anderson as a whole, and he has redefined himself as a hockey player, more as of a hybrid than an offensive force, right? Everybody thought that he was going to come into Montreal and be a power forward. Didn't have it in him. Okay, and when he was with the Columbus Blue Jackets, he played on the line with Cam Atkinson, who was actually playing good hockey at the time, and fed off him, and he did relatively well, which is why he came to Montreal, got a contract, and lo and behold, here's Josh Anderson scoring a few goals. His highest goal total, I think, in his career was 28 with the with the Columbus Blue Jackets, excuse me. And you know, he came to Montreal with all these expectations, and that's an issue that I have with everything coming up. You can't expect a player to have the same output right away as he had with the team that he was with, because you build chemistry with those guys. So he came to Montreal, built some chemistry, got injured, came back. You know how it works, right? And you never really get that rhythm back. Okay, so last season, I've never seen a player be more snake bit than Josh Anderson was. He couldn't score a goal for the first, I don't know how many games of the season, just completely and utterly snake bit. But then he comes in this year, new role for Marty St. Louis, and lo and behold, he's a different player, knows exactly what's expected of him, because it looks like Marty gave him a recipe to say, this is what I want Josh Anderson to look like. And he's done it all year. And the fact that he hasn't missed a game, despite the fact that he's been injured throughout, is a testament to the type of player he is and the character that he has. The type of player that you want other players on your team to see and say, wow, I want to be that guy. And whether you're an offensive star like Nick Suzuki, or whether you're a defensive specialist like Jake Evans, or even a guy like Emil Heineman, right? You want that example. You want to say to yourself, you know what? If Josh can come back, I want to come back. And so players that give that example are a testament to your team. And there's a certain award that the NHL gives year after year. It's called the Bill Masterson, for players that come back after adversity, right? And seeing what Josh Anderson had done this year, I would be remiss if the Canadiens didn't nominate Josh Anderson as their Bill Masterson Award candidate, right? The nominee for the team. There's nobody else on the team that I would even come close to saying that, right? As a comeback player, let's say, unless you give it to Patrick Laine. But even then, right, Laine was out for different reasons than Anderson was, right? And Anderson had a really poor year last year. So you can give it to one or the other. But given the fact that Anderson just keeps coming out and putting in the effort nonstop, much like Brendan Gallagher used to do with his injuries, right? And you know Gallagher's always playing hurt. But this is another level. This is literally Sylvester Stallone taking a beating from Apollo Creed and just getting up all over again and all over again and all over again, going to the corner and saying, cut me, Mick. That's pretty much what Josh Anderson does. Goes to the locker room. I don't know if he puts on deer antler spray or whatever other crap there might be to heal something quick, and he comes right back out for more. So you got to give your love to Josh Anderson, man. And if you don't know hockey. You got to appreciate players like that. Now, final thing. Let's move on to the back-to-back games coming against the Buffalo Sabres. Now, the Sabres are the type of team that always give the Canadian fits, right? They've always been a rival. And for no good reason, because back when you had Gilbert Perreault, or you had Pat LaFontaine, or you had Donald Odette, or you had, keep naming him, Miro Shatan, the list goes on and on. The Sabres were a good hockey club who could really do damage, right? Getting to the Stanley Cup final with Dominik Hasek in 1999, right? Losing on the Tone the Crease goal. They were a good hockey team. Mike Peck is another great from the Sabres that you need to mention when you talk about that franchise. And then you look at them now, and they're a shell of what they used to be. And it's Terry Pegula just doesn't know what to do bring that team to the level he wants them to be at. He wants them to be competitive. He wants them to be in the mix. They just can't get there, but they've got good players. So what's the problem? Is it coaching? Is it, a lack of veteran leadership? I don't know. But at the end of the day, the one thing I do know is that the Sabres are always dangerous against the Canadiens. They never come into Montreal, or we never go to Buffalo. I don't remember what they've renamed that rink, I think 100 times through the sponsorships. I remember the odd, and I remember HSBC Arena. After that, over my head, gone. But I don't know what it is. Is it the colors on the jersey? It can't be, because they used to wear red, black, and gray, right? When they were wearing that white buffalo on their shirt. And, is it the blue, gold, and white? No. God knows what it is. It's certainly not the logo. And it's not the players, because there's nobody really to intimidate them like Brad May used to do, right? When he was with the Sabres. Or Lindy Ruff used to do when he played for the Sabres, because Lindy was a really gritty player. But now he's a coach. So what is it? I don't know. But it could very well be Lindy Ruff coaching them well against the Canadiens, but they're not a very talented team. So how do the Canadiens get past that, that whole stigma of the Sabres being a team that beats them all the time? Well, you take a look at what they've done recently, beating Carolina for the first time in, I think it was 6 games at the Bell Center, or beating the San Jose Sharks tonight for the first time in 8. I mean, there's a lot to be said about the streaks that the Canadiens are breaking, but this isn't really a streak. This is notoriously historic for the Canadiens. And every time they face the Buffalo Sabres, they always come out on the short end of the stick. Now, it's back-to-back games. They're bound to win one of them. But again, I'm going to come back to what I said on Blue Sky tonight on social media, where I turned around and I said that tonight's game against the Sharks should have been a no contest. And it should have. The Canadiens should have been able to dominate this team. They're the worst team in the National Hockey League. They've got one line. It's as simple as that. They've got Eklund, Celebrini, and Toffoli. Throw in a Will Smith, and that's it. There's nothing more to that hockey team. So how is it that the Canadiens had to struggle so much to beat them? Again, it comes back to the goaltending. When your goaltending is solid, you're much more confident in the way you play. And it's going to be the same thing against the Buffalo Sabres. If they don't get quality goaltending, whether it's from Montembeault or whether it's from Dobesh, the Canadiens are really going to get into their own heads. And it's up to Marty St. Louis to make sure that he brings those guys back to earth and say, listen, guys, you can't do anything about bad goaltending. The only thing you can do is score more goals than the other team. So let's go. And that's effectively what they need to do. They need to make sure that whether the goaltending is good or bad, they need to make sure they put pucks on goal, pucks in the net, and whether it's Devin Levi that starts, or I forget who the other goalie is in Buffalo. I would be remiss. Hang on a second as I try to bring it up. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Oh, I screwed that up. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. There you go. I can never say his name right. I'm sorry. Who names their kid like that? But anyway, I digress. But at the end of the day, it's Luukkonen and Devin Levi that are the goaltenders in Buffalo, along with a smattering of James Reimer. So, Comrie's there as well. So who knows who's going to start? God knows, right? I think Luukkonen started as the third goalie behind Comrie and Levi in 2023-24. And this year, I don't even know. Let me see. Regular season goaltending stats for the Buffalo Sabres. 41 games played for Luukkonen. So he's the one that's played more. You've got a smattering, 9 games for Levi, 9 games for Reimer. There you go. So it doesn't matter who it is. You take a look. His save percentage, Luukkonen's save percentage is .857. There's no reason why the Canadiens should lose this hockey game, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. All right? At the end of the day, the Canadiens should be able to score more than the Sabres as long as they get better goaltending. If the goaltending is bad as it was tonight, it's going to be a crapshoot. But if it's not, and we get solid goaltending from either Dobish or Montembeault, the Canadiens are going to be able to beat the Sabres handily. But who knows, right? I don't. You don't. Nobody does. Depends on what side of the bed, I guess, Montembeau or Dobish wake up on. In the meantime, I'm just going to ask you guys once again, as usual, click the subscribe button. Let your friends know about the show, whether they look at it here on YouTube or they catch it on Spotify or on iTunes. I mean, let them know about it. Obviously, we want more people watching on YouTube, but, go to your favorite, watch, listen, comment. And, you can always find us on social media. Just take a look at MTL Hockey Talk. That's where we are. We'll see you on Saturday night. Bye for now.